every year as the same cycle comes to Los Angeles Clippers, where they have a very great offseason, come into the season with very high expectations, and they end up falling flat onto their asses every single year. Whether that is with injuries, underperforming, or a little bit of both, the Los Angeles Clippers continue to fail and fail and fail again, which has been basically the whole definition of the Kawhi Leonard era. And well, this year started off the same way. We're going into the season based on the offseason moves. They had such high expectations just to start the season 6-21. But before we talk about how they got to that situation, let's go over the offseason moves. They started off their offseason signing Brook Lopez, which looked to be a very good backup big man to Zubac, to give a really good contrast in the center play, where Zubac basically being inside big and Brook Lopez being the outside big, to kind of throw teams off and kind of have to switch around their lineups based on who they have on the court at that very given moment. So the idea of Brook Lopez really worked. But then again, he is old, he is in his past his mid-30s, and his time in the league is coming up. There is more to the offseason than just Brook Lopez signing. Then the Clippers pulled off a 3-team trade that involved the Utah Jazz and the Miami Heat. That would send Norman Powell to the Miami Heat, and the Clippers get John Collins, and the Utah Jazz got expiring contracts in Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson. So now the Clippers have basically essentially said, we are done with the whole Norman Powell experiment. Harden and Norman Powell can't work together no more. Let's focus on getting an athletic forward to give Harden a vertical lob threat. So the idea of John Collins on this team, who just came off with one of his best seasons of his career in Utah, giving Harden a lob threat on a night in night out basis, because Zubac is not that vertical lob threat like John Collins is. Contrast, allows the Clippers to run small ball if need be. Then they signed Bradley Beal to kind of fill in the void of Norman Powell, and obviously Bradley Beal being 33 years old and having the worst season of his career with the Phoenix Suns last year, to the point where the Suns had to buy him out because no one wanted to trade for that big old contract, which led them to buying him out, and the Clippers taking a chance on Bradley Beal for essentially nothing. He's not playing for any money, which resulted to him playing with no stakes and playing free basketball on a contending team. After the Bradley Beal signing, they signed Chris Paul, which Chris Paul then announced this was going to be his final season and his farewell tour, to go back to where really was his claim to fame, as highest team success, being with the Los Angeles Clippers, had some of his better years there, and expected to leave with great graces and open arms to a Los Angeles Clipper fan base that still loves him and adores him to this day. So going into the season, the Clippers had one goal and one goal in mind, obviously it's a championship caliber team. They felt like they did all the rough around the edges moves that they needed to do to basically be a championship contender. With James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Zubac, John Collins, Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, Derrick Jones Jr., and Brook Lopez, this team had all the tools to be a contending team that had a relatively good and decent bench with great star players. But boy oh boy were we wrong, because going into the season, the Clippers had an expectation to win 50 or more games. Well, they start off the season 3-3, and after that third loss, Kawhi Leonard sprained his ankle, and after he sprained his ankle, he missed 11 games. And in that stretch, the Clippers then lost 9 out of those 11 games, and quickly went from 3-3, 5-12 in the Western Conference. A tough Western Conference, in fact, where the Oklahoma City Thunder were steamrolling everyone. The Houston Rockets looked like that they were starting to mesh. The Spurs looked like that they were above schedule. The Lakers started to figure out after LeBron returned, and everything was starting to fall apart for the Clippers. Slowly falling apart in the Western Conference, where everyone matters, and now they found themselves climbing a hole that looks impossible to climb back from. Because in that 2-9 stretch, the only 2 wins came against the Charlotte Hornets and a Dallas Mavericks team that had dealt with so many other problems than their own. In the middle of those 11 games, news struck Los Angeles, where Bradley Beal would have to miss the remainder of the season with a hip surgery. A guy who was well past his prime, and living on to the last strings of the career that he has left, having a hip surgery at his age may damn near be career ending. Bradley Beal probably will never be the same player again after getting a hip surgery as so old, and everything's starting to fall apart for the Clippers. And now with missing Bradley Beal, they have to pivot. And how did they pivot? A couple weeks later, they then decided to send Chris Paul home. Not waive him, they decided to send him home. And you might be wondering, What the fuck does that mean? And to this day, I don't know what the fuck that means. Because December 3rd, 2025, in the middle of the night, the Clippers announced that Chris Paul was being sent home. In the middle of the night, no warning, no one knows why at the time. And then reports are coming out, such as, but once Paul began playing, it seemed the Clippers seemed to recoil. When he offered suggestions to a player about training methods, he was warned to not undermine the staff, sources said. When he challenged players on and off the court, or tell them how to run a play, there were complaints from players and coaches that he was abrasive. You're telling me because Chris Paul, a guy who's been in the league for 20 years, was doing the job that you expected him to do, because damn near he knew going into it that he was not going to play, but he had to be contributing to the team in some other ways. So why not inform them, tell them how to do better, where to be, how to really improve on and off the court, and really make better reads, maybe make some adjustments that the coaches don't see. Because then again, he is a veteran point guard and one of the greatest point guards of all time. Instead of telling him, okay, we'll try it, oh no, whatever, instead of trying to talk to him about it, they decided after a little over a month into the season, it's time for you to go home in your last season in the NBA. And mind you, he's not being waived, he's still actively on the roster. He's just not allowed to attend practices, not allowed to be in team meetings, not allowed to travel to team. He's just at home chilling, getting a contract for not doing shit because the Clippers don't want him around them. Obviously, the Clippers got a lot of backlash, and this story goes deeper and deeper the more you look into it. The more you see all the problems they had going into it, all the articles already came out. But that little piece alone should kind of make you understand what really happened between the Clippers and Chris Paul. But after that fact, the Clippers did end up winning that game on that day, December 3rd, but after that, it was a downward spiral. Because to that point of the season, they lost 14 of the last 16 games, they lost 5 straight games, and were 5-16, which made that whole situation completely worse. And then, they lost another 5 games in a row, which brought them to a total of 6-21, the 15th seed in the Western Conference, as of the 18th of December. And just 2 days later, Ty Lue came out and said his plan for the rest of the season is to go 35-20. And me, amongst everyone else, decided to point and laugh at him because he sounded stupid. It seemed that at 6-21, had to flip that switch completely and go 35-20 just to be 500. And now, we look like the fools. Because on that day, December 20th, the Clippers won and beat the Lakers. And little do we know, that was just the start. Over the next 16 games, the Clippers proceeded to hoop. Because after beating the Lakers, the Clippers then lost 3 out of their next 16 games. That switch, and where we thought that they would be able to flip it, they flipped it, and they flipped it quick. You might be thinking, what did they do? Well, not really much. All they did was move John Collins from the bench to the starting lineup, because out of those 16 games, he played in 14 of them. And in those 14 games, he averaged 15.1 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 69% from the field, and 65% from 3. He really improved as a starter because off the bench in spotty minutes, he couldn't get his rhythm and flow playing next to James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. He started really improving and showing that, okay, I can be a great player for this team, and he is really falling into that role beautifully. And in that stretch, Kawhi and Harden have been hooping, especially Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi in this stretch is probably playing some of the best basketball of his career. 32.7 points per game, 3.8 assists, 6.9 rebounds, shooting 50.7% from the field and 44% from 3, and his averages across the board are up. They're not his career highs, but damn near they're up there, because Kawhi Leonard this season is playing out of his mind. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is the Kawhi we've been waiting for. From the mid-range to his shot creating to his dribbling to his defending, everything has been the Kawhi we thought he was going to be. And this little glimpse, he only missed about 13 to 14 games this season out of the 44, looking to be one of his most healthiest seasons we have seen in a very long time. The Clippers might actually end up doing it. And on top of that, with James Harden also hooping, putting up 25.4 points per game, 8 assists, 4.2 rebounds, shooting 39% from the field and 28% from 3. And yes, I know, his shooting splits aren't that great, but it's James Harden. One of his shooting splits even phenomenal. He's shooting at a high clip like he always has been. His three-point shot has not been falling all year long, but eventually he will figure it out. We're talking about James Harden here, one of the greatest shooting guards of all time. He will figure it out, and once he does, the Clippers will get even scarier than they were already. They've won the last 6 games straight, beating teams with the Lakers, Rockets, Pistons, and Blazers in that stretch, and are now 8-3 in the last 11 games. Going from the 15.1 point of the season, they are now at the 10 seed, only 2.5 games away from the 9 seed in the Portland Trailblazers, with still a lot of basketball left. They're currently 20-24, and in that pace of trying to win 35 the next 20 games, they have won 14 and lost only 3. They are 14-3 in the last 17 games. This Clippers team might do the impossible, and if they do, if they sneak into that playoffs, they might surprise some people and be that dark horse we all thought that they're going to be from the start of this season. The Los Angeles Clippers are here, and you guys better start being prepared for the impossible. And while you guys are here, check out my last video where I talked about the New York Knicks and their struggles. And link down in the comments down below for my second channel. And as always, go hard on them dudes. Salute.